Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You guys are pretty far. Can you guys move up, inshallah? Just like I can't really see you guys because of the light. Of course, it's also, recommended for us to come together in the gathering like this. There's no reason to be far away, and we want it to be interactive for us to share together. Come on, in the back, brothers, come.
Either that or you could move the table forward.
Oh, yeah. Tasneem, come on, over here. Bismillah.
Leave no space for the shaitan.
Abu Buns. Alright, Bismillah.
Right?
Of course, absolutely. Alright, so Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wasalam ala rasulillah. So, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start speaking about the prophets and the different stories of the prophets. Now, I want to start with, I only want to stick with the stories of the Quran, right? I only want to stick with the stories of the Quran. Now, when you look at the prophets mentioned in the Quran, how many prophets are mentioned in the Quran? 25 prophets, right? 25 prophets. So we're going to start with Adam alayhi salam. Someone said something? Yeah, so we're going to start with Adam alayhi salam, right? Now, I'm pretty sure we all know about the story of Adam. Even non-Muslims, if you were non-Muslim before and you accepted Islam, like the story is very similar, especially if you were a Christian or if you were a Jew, right? The story is very similar, all right? But there are a lot of differences, okay? And we're going to see what the story is, inshallah ta'ala, all right? Now, Allah mentions this story in many places in the Quran. Allah mentions it in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah mentions this story in Surah Al-A'raf. Allah mentions this story in Surah Al-Hijr. Allah mentions this story in Surah Al-Isra. Allah mentions the story in Surah Sad, Surah Anbiya, and other surahs throughout the Quran, right? So what I want to do, right? I want to focus on one passage, and then we'll kind of use that as a base, right? And we're going to use Surah Al-Baqarah. So the story starts off, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, right? And this is right in the very beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah, He says, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ And when your Lord said to the angels, right? We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks. Allah speaks to whoever He wants, right? And there's going to be some people on Yawm al-Qiyamah who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not speak to, right? Those who hide knowledge, right? Those who, deceive others. And there's some other people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that He will not speak to on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Now, so Allah mentions, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ And when your Lord said to the angels, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً That I will make a ruler, right? Who will rule in successive generations. I will put this ruler on earth. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala announced to the angels that He will put this human being on earth. Allah will put a new creature on earth. The angels, they said, قَالُوا أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا They said, oh Allah, are you going to put on earth? Are you going to put in it those who will cause corruption on it? Right? وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاء And they will shed blood on earth. Right? What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? What was Allah's answer?
There will be people on earth that will worship Him sincerely.
Okay, that's the meaning of, that's what, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means by His statement. But He says, قَالَ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ I know what you don't know, right? Which is pretty much, what the brother mentioned, that Allah knows that there's going to be some believers on earth. That despite the amount of evil that comes from the human race, it is worth it because of the good that will come from it, right? So of course, do we see it around you, like around us, that there is a lot of bloodshed, a lot of corruption? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely, left and right. We don't even need to look too far. Just look right here, look in your neighborhood. I don't know if you guys have this Citizen app. You see all the stabbings, all this stuff. Like, subhanAllah, it's crazy, right? People are fighting, cops are coming arresting this guy because of knife violence. So much corruption and bloodshed around us in our neighborhoods, right? So we can see that. So are the angels right in their question, like, whatever they're assuming is going to happen, is it happening right now? Absolutely. But they want to know that why are you going to do this, O Allah? So we have to realize when the angels are questioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're not doing so out of arrogance, right? They're not doing so out of arrogance. They just don't know. Now, why are the angels even asking this question in the first place? Right? How do they know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever He puts on earth, this creature that will have free will, how do they even know that it's going to cause corruption? Why would they even ask that question? Do you see what I'm saying? Like if I ask you, hey bro, why are you gonna do this if it's gonna lead to X, Y, and Z? Like, how would I even know if that it's gonna lead to those things in the first place? So how the angels even know that it's gonna lead to bloodshed and corruption on earth? Some of the scholars, they try to explain. You find that there's some narrations from the early Muslims, from the Salaf, from the Tabi'een. They said, some of them said that how there were some jinns living here on earth, right? There were some jinns living here on earth, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the angels. They caused so much corruption, and Allah just destroyed them. Allah destroyed them. There's some narrations that mention that there was a bin kind, and these are not things that we have going back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so we can't believe them like totally, right? So that's what you're gonna find in a lot of these stories, a lot of stories of the prophets. You're gonna find that scholars are gonna mention like strange reports, strange narrations, and a lot of these things go back to the people of the book, to the Jews and the Christians, because they have the same stories, right? And there's a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that hadithu an bani Israel wala haraj, narrate from Bani Israel and there's no sin, there's no problem, right? So we can mention the stories of the Jews and the Christians, we can do that. But what is the methodology when it comes to dealing with these reports? Do we accept them? Do we reject them? The Prophet ﷺ, he says, لا تصدقوا أهل الكتاب ولا تكذبوهم. Do not believe the people of the book, nor deny them. Now, if it's something clear we know is false, then we're going to reject that. Like for example, in the Old Testament, if they tell us that Ibrahim married his sister, his half-sister, we say no, that was not his sister, right? So certain things, we reject if it's clear to us. Like certain prophets committing like these really bad sins, right? Then we reject that. But if it comes to something like a detail about a story that we don't know exactly if it's true or not, right? We have no reason to accept it, nor any reason to believe it. What do? We just stay silent about it. We take a neutral position to it. All right? So Allahu Alam, why the angels, what made them ask this question, if it was some jinns on earth or something like that, but Allah knows best. But the point is, we have to understand, they did not ask Allah out of arrogance. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give them a long answer. All He said is, قَالَ إِنِي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, is that I know what you don't know. And we're going to see what the wisdom of this is in a bit, inshallah ta'ala. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He creates Adam alayhi salam. Alright, He creates Adam alayhi salam. And there's some narrations mentioning how Allah created Adam in Jannah, in paradise. Right? So there's a hadith in the Musnad of Ahmad. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam tells us that إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَّا صَوَّرَ آدَمَ, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fashioned Adam, when Allah made his form, made his body, okay, تَرَكَهُ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ أَيَّتْرُكَهُ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left him as long as He wanted to leave him. So Adam alayhi salam was created without a soul, right? And his body was just there, in whatever form Allah wanted him to be in. And Allah left him for a certain amount of time. So the Prophet ﷺ tells us that فَجَعَلَ إِبْلِيسُ يُطِيفُ بِهِ فَلَمَّا رَآهُ أَجْوَفْ عَرَفَ أَنَّهُ خَلْقٌ لَا يَتَمَالَكْ. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that how Iblis would go around him in paradise, how Iblis would go around him, and Iblis would look at him, right? And when Iblis saw that he was hollow, and he saw the nature of this human being, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that how Iblis, he knew that this will be a creation that will not be able to control itself. Right, that will not be able to hold itself back. It will have desires and things like that. Right. So Iblis from the get-go, he already had it in his mind, that this is gonna be an enemy to him. Right. So Iblis, for a very long time he was worshiping Allah. Right. He was doing a lot of good things, and it came to a point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought him up to the level of the angels. Right. Allah brought him up to the level of the angels. So Iblis was basically chilling with the angels. He was there. And he got this, the ability to do certain things, right? And from those things is go around Adam alayhi salam and see how his creation was. Now, there's a hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that when Allah blew His spirit into Adam alayhi salam, when Allah blew the soul into Adam alayhi salam, how he sneezed, right? And as soon as Adam alayhi salam, as soon as he gained consciousness and he sneezed, right? He said, Alhamdulillah. He says that Allah is perfect. And then when he said that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to him by saying, Yarhamukallah, that Allah's mercy is upon you. Right? Allah's mercy is upon you. So even from then, right, we're following that tradition. And what you find is even the Christians, they're gonna tell us that bless you, right? They even say that. So Allahu A'lam, maybe if they take that from their books, or if it's another one of the innovations in their practice, right? But we know that we're getting this from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He teaches us that one of the rights of the Muslims is when someone says Alhamdulillah, you say Yarhamukallah, right? Yarhamukallah, may Allah's mercy be upon you. So this was all the way since Adam alayhi salam, when Allah Azza wa Jalla created him. Now we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam from dirt, from clay, right? From mud. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him from the earth. Okay? Now, my question is, how do we deal with all of this stuff about evolution, all of these scientific discoveries? A lot of people, they have this problem with this the view of creation. Now listen, we don't have the view of the Christians and the Jews when it comes to how old this world is. I think that the Christians, they say that it's like 6,000 years or something like that. We have no report of that in Islam, period. So for them, like we have found creatures that have been on earth for hundreds of thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, right? So for us saying that how the universe is only, or the earth has only existed for 6,000 years is absolutely false. We don't believe that at all. They have that problem because that's what their claim is. So they have to now reconcile between all of the stuff that is found scientifically. Now when it comes to evolution, right? Evolution, what is the theory of evolution? What is this belief that people have about evolution? What exactly is it? You guys tell me. Yeah. That we've evolved from apes, okay. That's one part of it. What else? Anyone else? That's it? We just came from monkeys, that's it? That's not the whole story. I think a lot of Muslims, they have a misconception about this, and they try to just throw it away, throw it aside. But like, oh, we're not from monkeys. I mean, of course, we don't believe that we're from monkeys, right? And we're going to understand how to deal with this. But what else? What else does it tell us? And there's different like versions of this model of evolution. But what most people know is that anyone who studies this, they're going to study that all life, evolved over time, right? And through natural selection, nature kind of dictated certain changes that will remain in creatures. So what they're saying is that over thousands of years, right, one creature would evolve and have so many of these small changes that over time, the creature completely changes to something new, right? Whereas it used to swim in the water, now it's walking on land, right? It used to have feathers, now it doesn't. Whatever the case is, right? So listen, the only problem we have with evolution as Muslims is Adam alayhi salam. That's it. We have no problem. There's nothing that's contradicting. There's nothing that Islam contradicts evolution in. Besides that, for the most part, right? It's just Adam alayhi salam. Now, how do we deal with that? If we're finding these fossils of these creatures who look like human beings, what do we say about that, right? And their DNA is related to us. I mean, listen, our DNA is related to a lot of things, a lot of perhaps fruits and things like that, right? But the thing is that we have to understand that Allah tells us in the Quran, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and Allah creates what you don't know. Allah makes it very clear. Now, are we going to take something that like science, which is an attempt to explain reality, explain how reality works, and something that changes over time depending on the new discoveries that we make? Are we going to use that as a standard to now reject what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying clearly, when we clearly have evidence that what Allah is saying is true? We have evidence that the Quran is true. We have evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. Right? Which are we going to put first? Obviously, any rational person would have to put revelation first. And there's a whole concept of when do we put revelation before intellect? Or is there even such a thing? Right? That's a whole different discussion. But like I said, we don't really have a problem with evolution except in the creation of Adam alayhi salam. Because Allah clearly mentions that how, the hadith mentions that Allah created, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created his form. Then Allah blew the soul into him. Right? So, the texts are very clear, and sadly, there are a lot of Muslims who try to interpret the text. They try to say that how Allah actually created Adam, and listen, he did not have a father. Right? Allah mentions that how in Surah Ali Imran, إِنَّ مَثَلَ عِيسَى عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَمَثَلِ Adam, that the example of Isa alayhi salam is like the example of Adam. What does Allah say about Adam? خَلَقَهُ مِنْ تُرَابٍ. Allah created him from dirt. ثُمَّ قَالَ لَهُ كُنْ فَيَكُونَ. And then Allah said to him, be, and he was. That was it. Right? So now to interpret it and try to say how Adam alayhi came through, this evolutionary process, I think is a very weak way to try to reconcile the text. But like I said, there's no problem. Right? Perhaps, Allahu A'lam, maybe they're going to find something scientifically that's going to prove what the Quran says. Allahu A'lam, Allah knows best. And, and that's a whole different topic. How do we deal with science and the Quran? A lot of people want to say that there are scientific miracles in the Quran and all of this stuff. Right? That's a whole different discussion. Can we say that or not? Right? So, it's very clear how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam. Now there's a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. He tells us that خَلَقَ اللَّهُ آدَمَ عَلَى صُورَتِهِ, that Allah created Adam in his image. Allah created Adam in his image. What does the hadith even mean? We hear the Christians, they say that how God created man in his image. Now you have a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and it's an authentic hadith, we can't deny it. Clear hadith, there's, it's in Bukhari and Muslim, and there's many other books of hadith where this hadith is present. How do we understand this? Indeed, Allah created Adam in his image. What does that mean? So there's different ways of scholars trying to understand this hadith. The first way is that they, and there's, I'm not going to mention all of them because of time. I'm going to mention some of them. They say that what it means is that Allah created Adam in His image. It means the image of Allah. And what that means is the image of Allah that He wants. Allah has created Adam in the way that He wants, in His image that He wants. So what they say is that the image here is not referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's image, but it's referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala possessing that image or having it the way that He wants. So Allah created Adam in His image. In other words, Allah created Adam in His image that He wanted. Right? That's the first way of going about it. And the other way is to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam in His image, and Adam being in the image of Allah does not mean that he resembles Allah. Now you may say, how is this possible? Right? The word that is used is that Allah created Adam in His surah. Now surah in the Arabic language means image. Now there's another hadith that mentions that how the Prophet ﷺ said that the first group that will enter Jannah, they will be in the surah of the moon. They will be in the image of the moon. Now do you think that the people of Jannah, when they enter Jannah, is going to be a bunch of moons that will go into paradise, right? No, the Prophet ﷺ is trying to show that they're going to be bright, they're going to be beautiful, right? You'll be able to see them clearly. Right? That, so the Prophet ﷺ, when he says that the people of Jannah will be in the surah of the moon, it doesn't mean that they have to look like the moon. You see what I'm saying? But he's trying to show something in this statement. So when the Prophet ﷺ tells us that Allah created Adam in His image, what that means is many scholars, they say that just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is seeing, Allah created Adam seeing. Just as Allah is hearing, Allah has created Adam alayhi salam hearing. But the hearing of Allah is not like the hearing of Adam alayhi salam. The seeing of Allah is not like the seeing of Adam alayhi salam. Right? So, those scholars who say that, they interpret it this way, then they say that despite Adam alayhi salam being in the image or the surah of Allah, it doesn't mean that he's like Allah. It's only in the attributes that he shares with Allah, but how is totally different. Is everybody clear on this? Right? And there are some scholars who say that what it means is that Allah created Adam in His image, that means in Adam's image. So the pronoun His refers to Adam here. And I think that, perhaps, that's one way of going about it. But there's other narrations that mention that how, there's a narration that mentioned that Allah created Adam fi Surah Ar-Rahman, in the image of Rahman. So what does that mean exactly? Right? How are you going to reconcile between this narration and that interpretation? But this is how the scholars generally try to reconcile these texts, right? But we have to realize that Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us that لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, that there's nothing like Him. وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ, and He is the one who sees and He's the one who hears. Allah says that there's nothing like Him, but at the same time He says that He's hearing and seeing. Do we hear and see? Absolutely. So we have to look at all of those attributes that we share in Allah. We have to understand those attributes in light of the first part of that verse. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, that there's nothing like Him. So if Allah tells us that He sees, and we have that same attribute of seeing, we have to understand our seeing is not like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seeing. It's a total difference between the two. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ tells us that how Allah created Adam, وَطُولُهُ سِتُّونَ ذِرَاعًا, and his length or his height was 60 cubits. Now 60 cubits, right? In modern times, that's about 90 feet. Right? 90 feet. Adam alayhi salam was huge. Now somebody might be like, well, according to biology, we don't have evidence of this. Lack of evidence is not evidence of the absence of evidence, right? Just because you have not found out, the evidence of this doesn't mean that there is no evidence, right? So because you can't find evidence of it doesn't mean that it never existed. No, right? And so the Prophet ﷺ tells us that how فَلَمَّا خَلَقَهُ, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him, قَالَ اذهب, Allah said to go, Adam alayhi salam, to go. فَسَلَمَ عَلَى أُولَٰئِكَ النَّفَرِ مِنَ الْمَلَائِكَ جُلُوسٍ. So Adam alayhi salam, what he did is that he passed by some angels who were sitting down and he gave them salam. A benefit of this hadith right away is we could tell the angels they sit. How do they sit? Allahu a'lam. Right? Allah knows best how that is, but they sit down. Adam alayhi salam, he gave them salam. He said, Assalamu alaikum. فَاسْتَمَعَ, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jalla commanded him that when he goes to these angels that he give them salam. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, فَاسْتَمِعْ مَا يُحَيُّونَكَ, then listen to how they will respond to you back. Right? So Adam alayhi salam, Allah Azza wa Jalla then tells him, فَإِنَّهَا تَحِيَّتُكَ وَتَحِيَّةُ ذُرِّيَّتِكَ, because whatever you hear from the angels, their greeting, that will be your greeting and the greeting of your children. And of course we can tell what that is, right? That's the salam. So the Prophet ﷺ tells us, فَقَالَ السَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ, Adam then said to the angels, he passed by them and he said, Assalamu alaikum. He said, peace be upon you. فَقَالُوا السَّلَامُ عَلَيْكَ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ, they said, peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah. So they added وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ. So the Prophet ﷺ tells us that فَكُلُّ مَنْ يَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةَ عَلَى صُورَةِ آدَمَ, that everyone who enters paradise will be in the image of Adam alayhi salam. Right? They will be in the surah of Adam alayhi salam. Right? So we're going to be just like Adam alayhi salam. And then the Prophet ﷺ tells us فَلَمْ يَزِلِ الْخَلَقُ يَنْقُسُ بَعْدُ حَتَّى الْآن. That Adam was that huge, was that big, and he tells us that how the creation of the human being continued to become smaller and smaller and smaller until now. Right? So there, I mean, Adam alayhi salam, humans have evolved from how Adam alayhi salam looked like, right? So there, of course, this form of evolution, we cannot reject, right? So after generation, like if you look at how the early people used to live, they used to live for long, long years. Allah mentioned how Nouh alayhi salam called his people how many years? 950 years. So they were huge. If you read about Ad alayhi salam, Ad, the people of Hud alayhi salam, right? Ad, they were very big people, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates what we don't know, right? And that's very clear. But now, some of the scholars have mentioned that for a long time, human beings have continued to be the same height, the same size, right? So if you look at thousands of years ago, people were, you look at the bones and the fossil evidences, they're pretty much the same height that we are now. Okay? Now, Allah mentions that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Adam some special knowledge. Right? Allah mentions وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam the names of everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salam the terms for everything. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him is knowledge. Right? So then Allah Azza wa Jal then mentioned ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Then Allah gave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented these things to be named to the angels. And then Allah mentions قَالَ and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then said to the angels that tell me the names of these things if you're truthful. Right? If you're truthful, tell me the names of these things. Right? And the angels, they responded, قَالُوا سُبْحَانَكَ. They say, oh Allah, you are above any flaw. You are flawless, oh Allah. They said, لَا عِلْمَ لَنَا إِلَّا مَا عَلَمْتَنَا. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us. Right? إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. You are Al-Alim. You know everything, and you are Al-Hakim, the one who is all-wise. Right? So, so the angels, right, they realize that there is great wisdom in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creating Adam. Right? Is that Adam was able to learn certain things that they didn't even know. And then Allah mentioned, قَالَ أَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then commands Adam alayhi salam to teach the angels the names of these things. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Adam the status of being a teacher of the angels. Right? Those same angels that didn't understand the wisdom behind why Allah will put this creature and create this creature in the first place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed them that He will teach you certain things, that He will surpass you in knowledge. So Adam alayhi salam then taught them these things. Okay? So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned فَلَمَّا أَنْبَأَهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. When Allah Azza wa Jal, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He taught Adam these things, and then Allah told Adam to tell the angels these things. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ. Allah says to the angels, did I not tell you, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ غَيْبَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, that I know what is hidden in the heavens and the earth, وَأَعْلَمُ مَا تُبْدُونَ وَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ, and I know what you make apparent, what you show and what you hide. Now notice, Allah is saying to the angels that He knows what they show and what they hide. What are the angels going to hide from Allah? Right? Think about that. What are the angels going to hide from Allah? Now, who is among the angels? Huh? Iblis. Now, up until this point, did Iblis show his kufr and his disbelief? He didn't show it. Did Iblis show that he wanted to take Adam as an enemy? No, he didn't. But Iblis is seeing all of this, right? Iblis, he's seeing Adam alayhi salam, he's seeing Adam, show the angels all of these names and things like that, and he's getting jealous. He has it within himself that has jealousy for Adam alayhi salam. Now, did it come out yet? It didn't come out yet. Eventually, it will, when Allah commands the angels to bow down to Adam. But some of the early Muslims, right, Sa'id ibn Jubair from the Tabi'een and some of the Salaf, they've said that what Allah means, that He know, like when He says to the angels that I know what you show and what you hide, that last part of that statement, what you hide, is directed to Iblis, because he's among the angels. Think about that, right? Wallahi, that's amazing, right? Just think about how they understood this, right? So Iblis is among the angels. And he is seeing Adam teaching the angels. Like you can imagine, he's probably like, boiling inside with like anger and jealousy. Like how? This guy was just created, right? How could he get the status of teaching us, right? How is that even possible? So Allah says that I know what all of you hide and what all of you show and what all of you hide. Right? Intending that that message be directed to Iblis. Right? Yeah.
So when you mentioned that, because the main purpose of the angels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created was purely for worship, right? So did, and this is the question I'm just asking, right? So did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create Iblis as with that type of personality, that knowing that he would, have this type of envy or this type of hatred toward Adam alayhi salam, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching or prioritizing Adam alayhi salam over Iblis? Like did Iblis have this? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know that Iblis would have this latent personality?
Okay, so any sin that you commit, okay, and or any good deed that you commit, before you do so, before everything was created, Allah knew it, Allah wrote it down, Allah willed it, and Allah created it, right? Now, so what I am saying is that throughout your life, you cannot do anything except what Allah knew that you will do, what Allah wrote that you will do, whatever Allah willed that you will and do, and whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created your actions to do. Now, someone may say, well, that means that we're forced. Well, right now, I can, in the grand scheme of things, that's how the grand scheme of things work. Okay? But in reality, right now, when I look at you guys, when I'm, speaking to you, nobody is forcing me to say these things. Okay, so the point is that you don't know what has been written for you. You do not know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has willed for you. But at the same time, your will will coincide with all of those things. Right? Your conscious decisions will coincide with all of those things. They will be your choices. Right? So for example, I can right? So like I can make a decision right now. Right? I can either I can either put my phone right here or right here, right? I'm going to make a choice right now. I'm a righty, I like it being on the right, so I'm going to put it here. That's my choice. I don't feel anybody forcing me. But that choice that I just made, Allah knew that I will make that choice before He created me. Allah had written down that I will make that choice before He created me. Allah has willed it, right? Because nothing happens except by the will of Allah, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of everything. That necessitates that He has created my actions as well. If anybody goes against those four things, they have a big problem. If you're trying to reconcile destiny and deny these four things, you're going to have a big problem. Because number one, we said that Allah knows everything. If you say that Allah doesn't know, that means you're saying that Allah doesn't know everything. You have to understand, it's very easy for us to say, oh, Allah knows everything. Yes, that necessitates that He knows what you're going to do as well. If you say that that means that Allah didn't write it down, then okay, if He knew it and wrote it down, what is the difference? If He didn't write it down, He still knew it. Okay, if someone says that, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not will that these things will happen, then who willed it then? You're having things that are not by Allah's design, right? You have a big, how do you reconcile that then? How do you understand that? Right? You're going to be going to a big problem if you try to, deny the fact that Allah has willed everything. Right? Now, and the fourth thing is that how can you say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create my actions? Allah, He says, Allahu khaliqu kulli shay. Allah is the creator of everything. Right? So you cannot, these are things that are very general. You can't specify them as you please. Right? And I think for the most part, a lot of people have problem with qadr because they don't like the fact that they don't have absolute control. So the question of whether or not we have free will, do we have free will? The answer is yes and no. From one aspect we don't, and from one aspect we do. Right? In the grand scheme of things, right, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created everything is decreed by Allah. But in your life right now, your conscious decisions, they're all by your choices. Right? And this is a whole other topic, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala definitely knew it, wrote it down, created it, and willed it, whatever Iblis will do. But they're His choices, His conscious decisions. And we know the difference between free will, because when I'm sleeping and I say something in my sleep, I know that I didn't consciously do that, so I know nobody can hold me accountable for that. Right? But when I'm awake, we can clearly see that I'm making the choices that I'm making. Right? And like I said, this is a whole long topic. But Iblis was from the jinn. Allah mentions in Surah Al-Kahf that Iblis kana min al-jinni, that he was from the jinn. That's very clear. Now the angels, do they have the capacity to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal? They don't. Right? Allah mentions in Surah Al-Tahrim, chapter 66, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم, that they do not disobey Allah in what He commands them. وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ, and they do as they are commanded. Very clear. Angels do not have the ability to disobey Allah. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Jibreel, Mikael, and all of the other angels with, they don't go against that. But Iblis now, he got the privilege of being with the angels, with chilling with the angels. Now with that ability, right, with that status now, he still has his capacity to disobey Allah. Right? So despite him being on their level, right, being able to be with him, that doesn't mean that he was actually from them. So if someone asks, is Iblis from the angels? It's a yes or no answer. From one aspect he is, from one aspect he's not. From his rank he is, but from the origin of his creation he's not. An example of this is, for example, let's say the sixth graders are having a class. And the principal takes a fifth grader out and puts the fifth grader in this art class that the sixth graders are having. So if somebody asks you, this fifth grader that's sitting among the sixth graders, is he a sixth grader? From one aspect he is, in this art class he is, right? He's part of the sixth grade class, and from another aspect he's not. You guys understand what I'm saying? So that's how we understand whether or not Iblis was an angel. Now Adam alayhi salam, Allah blessed him with 4 qualities, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with 4 main qualities, as Ibn Kathir mentions. Number 1 is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him with his hands. Right? Allah Azza wa Jal clearly mentions in the Quran, right, that he, خَلَقْتُ بِيَدَيْهِ, that he has created Adam alayhi salam with his hands, with his 2 hands. So now, do we know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands are? No, we don't. But is that a reason to reject them? No. Right? Because Allah sees, we see. Allah's seeing is not like our seeing. Allah has hands, we have hands, but our hands are not like Allah's hands. It's very simple. Right? This is not rocket science. Right? So when you try to, we have to realize that any image that comes in your mind of Allah is false. Right? Images may pop up in your mind, right? But as long as you realize that they're false, you're not being held accountable for that. Right? As long as you're not trying to imagine him, right? And of course you can't. So the first virtue that Adam alayhi salam had is that Allah created him with his hands. Number 2 is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blew into Adam alayhi salam from his spirit, from his soul. Now what does that mean? Does it mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah mentions نَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِن رُوحِي, that Allah Azza wa Jal will blow into Adam with his spirit? What does that mean? Does it mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a soul and that was attached to Allah and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put that into Adam alayhi salam? No. What it means that the soul belongs to Allah, that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's soul, Allah's spirit. That means that it's a soul or spirit that Allah has created and it belongs to Him. Right? So when there are things that are attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are of 2 types. Number 1 is if it's an attribute of Allah. We say the rahmah of Allah. Right? We know that's an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so it's not something separate. But when we hear in the Quran, it says that buyutullah, the houses of Allah. Does it mean that it's part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. Right? This is a different way of attributing things to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only reason why Allah Azza wa Jal attributes the creation to Himself, the messenger of Allah, the house of Allah, the camel of Allah, is to show the virtue of that thing. So when Allah Azza wa Jal says that He has blown into Adam with His spirit, it doesn't mean that it's an attribute of Allah. But it means it's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owns and He's attributing it to Himself out of honor of that thing. You guys understand how this works? Right? So that's the second benefit, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly blew into Adam alayhi salam his soul. Yeah? Yeah?
Because it's very interesting you pointed out. Because how you're tying it with Qadr and how you're tying with, not with Qadr, sorry, with the attributes of Allah. Because I'm actually taking a course right now on 99 Names of Allah with Sheikh Hassan Ali on YouTube actually. So one thing he mentioned is that with belief in Allah, it came to that topic where, Allah says, oh, I'm Sami'ul Alim, I'm all hearing, I'm all knowing. And some people, they attribute human-like physical traits, traits or personality that, how can Allah hear if He doesn't have ears, things like that. And it brought up to this one hadith that Prophet Muhammad mentioned, that there was this one, I don't know if I think it's a companion who wanted to free a slave girl and she accepted Islam. So he wanted to ask her, he wanted the Prophet ﷺ to ask the slave girl if she actually had true belief in Allah. So he said, instead of saying that, do you have belief in Allah? He said to the girl, Ain Allah, like where's Allah? And then it comes to a point that, when you start overthinking that, where's Allah, and then he talks about the arsh, and then you start overthinking to the point where it's like, oh, do we believe, who is Allah at the end of the day? And then it comes to that overthinking that, oh, maybe Allah doesn't exist, those type of things. So it's very interesting that you brought that up as well.
Yeah. Just to comment on what you're saying, yeah. So the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ asked that slave girl, where's Allah to test her, right? And then she said that fis sama, Allah is above, right? Allah is above, right? Sama literally means anything that is above us. So she says fis sama, that Allah is yani fil ulu, that He's above us, right? Now how is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above us? We're going to try to imagine that. Absolutely not, right? We don't say how, right? Allah is above His arsh. Somebody asked Imam Malik, oh Imam Malik, how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make istiwa above His arsh? How did He rise above the throne, right? So Imam Malik then said to the man, he said that al-istiwa'u ma'loom, we know exactly what istiwa means. It means to rise above something, right? Wal kayfu majhul, and how it happens, we don't know. It's majhul, it's unknown. Was-su'alu anhu bid'ah, and asking about it is an innovation. The Sahaba never asked about these questions, right? So we are to just, as the early Muslims would say, amirruha kama ja'at. We just pass them along as they came, right? These narrations, we don't delve too much into them, how it happens and all of this stuff. No. We say that Allah has hands, Allah, has, He's above us, He's above His throne, and then that's it. Right? We deal with that which is practical to us, that which benefits us, Allah's mercy, all of these different things. And of course, we don't deny those attributes, right? So, Jazakallah khair for bringing that up, right? So we are clear that Iblis was from the jinn. He's from the jinn. So he has the ability to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also know that he is not an angel. There's a hadith in Sahih Muslim. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that خُلِقَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ مِن نُور. The angels have been created from light. Angels are created from light. Like we said, how? Allah knows best. Right? We were not there to witness Allah creating the angels. And then he says, وَخُلِقَ الْجَانُ مِن مَارِجٍ مِن نَار. And angels have been, and jinns have been created from a smokeless fire. And then when you see the statement of Iblis later on, Iblis is going to say to Allah, his argument against why he doesn't want to bow down to Adam is that he will say that, oh Allah, you created me from fire and you created him from dirt. So clearly Iblis is not from the angels who were created from light. He's created from fire, and he admits that himself, right? So we know that he's not from the angels in terms of how he was created. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He then says, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. Oh yeah, so going back to the ways that Allah has showed virtue to Adam. Number one, Allah has created him with His hands. Number two, Allah has blown His soul into him, right? The soul that Allah Azza wa Jalla has created. Number three, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him the names of everything. Right? Allah ta'ala taught him the terminologies of everything. And then number four, Allah commanded the angels to bow down to him. Now this is where the story, takes a turn. Allah mentions, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. And when we said to the angels to make sujood to Adam. Now who is among the angels? Iblis as well. Right? So being among them, whatever orders Allah gave to the angels, Iblis would have to follow as well. Right? So Allah says, when we said to the angels to bow down to Adam, so nobody can say, well, oh, Iblis is from the jinn, so he wasn't commanded here. Right? No, he's from the angels in his rank, as we said. So Allah said, when we said to the angels to bow down to Adam, فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ, and they all made sujood, except Iblis. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. He refused and he was arrogant and he is from the disbelievers. Allah calls him a disbeliever. It's very clear. Alright? Now question, is it permissible for me to bow down to somebody? Or for you to bow down to somebody? It's haram. Right? The Prophet forbade it. So my question is, why is Allah commanded the angels to do so to Adam? Yeah. It's out of respect. So I can make sujood to someone out of respect. Why is it wrong for me to do it? Somebody's going to read the Quran. They're going to be like, brother, I make a sujood to my shaykh. Right? And I'm doing it out of respect the same way that the angels did so to Adam alayhi salam. Right? I'm not worshiping him. I'm just doing it out of respect. And they're using dalil. Right? They're using this evidence from the Quran. How do we respond to that? So we know it's out of respect, definitely. Right? Sujood can either be for respect and it could also be for what? For worship, right? So we know that they were not worshipping Adam, right? Allah was not commanding the angels to worship Adam alayhi salam. It was out of respect. But there are hadiths where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he clearly tells us that how it is haram. It's not permissible for a Muslim to make sujood to anybody else out of respect. So we have to understand that there are two types of sujood, right? The sujood of worship forever, since the time of Adam, since the time of the angels and Iblis and when he was good and all of that, up until Yawm al-Qiyamah, sujood out of worship should only be for Allah. That's never been abrogated or changed. That rule has never been changed. But the sujood for respect, that rule has been changed. If you read the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, right? At the end of the story, you find that the 11 brothers and the mother and the father, Yaqub, all of them, they made sujood to who? To Yusuf alayhi salam, out of respect. Right? So back in the days, it was allowed for somebody to make sujood to another person out of respect. But in this sharia, every prophet, every messenger has their own sharia, has their own laws, right? And how we deal with each other. For example, back in the days, they used to fast from speaking. Do we fast from speaking anymore? No. So certain rulings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change from messenger to messenger, right? Yeah, question?
How about kissing our parents' feet?
Kissing the parents' feet?
Yeah,
I mean, Allahu Alam, Allah knows best.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's very similar to making sujood. Allahu Alam.
exactly.
I know that's, something
Exactly,
that's
some
culturally
people
done.
recommended it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Allah knows best. Allah knows best, right? Maybe we could talk about that next time, right? So that's how we understand this, right? Is that when Allah commanded the angels to bow down to Iblis, it was out of respect, not worship, right? So so making sujood to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of worship is shirk in every time, right? Forever it will be shirk, but out of respect it was allowed before, right? So now we know, and another benefit of this is when you see someone, for example, someone who is following another sect or something, and they're making sujood to their sheikh, it's not, you can't say that he's committing shirk, 100%. It depends on his niyyah. If he's making sujood to his sheikh or his, maulana, whatever they want to call it, if he's making sujood to that other human being, if he's doing it out of respect, then it's haram. He's just committing a sin. But if he's doing it out of worship, then that's shirk. That's, polytheism right there. That's serious, right? And they're both wrong. We're not saying that you should make sujood to anybody, right? Now, now Hawa alayhi salam, the wife of Adam alayhi salam, she was created from Adam alayhi salam. Now, how was she created from Adam alayhi salam? From what? From his rib, right? Now, how? Allah Azza wa Jal knows best, right? Allah knows how He has created all of us, right? But from Adam alayhi salam, He created his wife, Hawa, and from them both we have all of the human beings here that we see around us, right? Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then mentioned that after all of this happened, after Iblis refused to bow down, Allah then says to Iblis that how could you refuse to bow down to something that I have created with my own hands? Right? What is Iblis's argument? He says that how I am better than him. قَالَ أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهُ, that I am better than him. خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ, you created me from fire, وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ, you created him from dirt. Right? So there are certain scholars that mention that how Iblis was the first one to use qiyas, to use analogy like this. Right? To say that because I am from fire, I'm better than him. Right? Does Iblis actually know that he's better than Adam alayhi salam? No, he's using something to kind of make that conclusion. And he's thinking that fire is better than dirt. Allahu A'lam where he's getting that from. Right? And there's some scholars that even mention that in the analogy of Iblis, he's even wrong. Because from one aspect, dirt can be looked at as better than fire. Right? Dirt gives life. You can plant something in it. It can grow. Life can come from that. Whereas from fire, it burns and destroys. Right? So they both have their pros and cons. Right? So for Iblis to say that is obviously very silly. Now you have to understand that how Allah calls Iblis a kafir, a disbeliever. Now, yes?
There is a question from the sister side.
Yeah, sure.
So, dua changes what's written, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the question?
Yeah.
Okay, does dua change? Okay, so there's a hadith that mentioned that how dua does change qadr. Now, how do we understand that? Right? We have to understand that what is meant by qadr can be two things. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote before He created everything in Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, 50,000 years before He has created the universe. Or the qadr can mean what the angels write down. We have to realize that when you're in the womb of your mother, the angels, they do write your deeds that you will do until you die as well. Right? So the scholars, when they reconcile between this, they say that what it means that dua changes qadr, dua changes what the angels have written down. But what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written down 50,000 years before the creation of the universe, that never changes. In that writing, for example, if I make dua and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes something from my qadr, that means that Allah is changing what the angels wrote for me when I was in the womb of my mother. Now, in the original writing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made before He's created everything, that has what the angels have been writing down that will happen to me. And it also has the fact that I will make dua and it will change what the angels have written down. Everything is written down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the original writing, Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, right? So that's how we, we're able to reconcile those two things. Like I said, this is, there's a lot more details to this, but that's a brief answer. So then Iblis, we have to understand, Allah calls him a disbeliever. Allah calls him and says that he's from the kafirin. وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Now right after this, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to Iblis after he refuses to bow down? What does Allah say to him? Anyone? Allah says that's fine, it's okay. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to him? Yeah. Good, right? What prevented you from bowing down? And then he says that how I'm better than him, right? After that point, what happens? What does Allah say to him? Yeah. To leave, to get out, right? Allah, He says that come out, right? قَالَ اخْرُجْ مِنْهَا فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ. Get out of here because you are cursed. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says to him as well, وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكَ اللَّعْنَةَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الدِّينِ. You will have my curse until Yawmuddin, until the day of judgment. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, says certain things to him and tells him to get out and to get down from here. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expels him from wherever he was. And then right after that, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to punish Iblis, Iblis then calls out to Allah. He says, Rabbi. He says, oh my Lord. أَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Give me time until the day where everyone is resurrected. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then answers him, قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. That you are from those who will be given time. So is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to punish Iblis for what he did before the day of judgment? He's not. Iblis, has that time before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish him. Now someone may say, well, what if Iblis makes tawbah? What if he turns back to Allah? Right? We have to realize that Iblis will not want to do that. Right? Consciously right now, Iblis, whatever he's thinking right now, he does not want to do that. Right? He's hell-bent, on his decision. Right? He does not want to move away from that. Right? So we know that Iblis will never turn away. Right? Now someone may say, well, Iblis is forced. I'm telling you, if anybody is able to ask Iblis right now, if he wants to, he'll tell you he doesn't want to do it. Right? So it's not as if Iblis has the ability it's not as if he doesn't have the ability. Right? Everyone has the ability to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he will not. He will not turn back. And Allah knows that. So now my question is, Allah calls Iblis a kafir, says that he's from the kafirin. My question is, does Iblis know that Allah exists?
Yes.
Yes. So therefore, someone could be a kafir, but at the same time believe that Allah exists. Right? Iblis then said, oh my Lord, Rabbi. He's making dua to Allah. He's calling upon Allah Azza wa Jal. He's saying, oh my Lord, oh my Rabb. Your Rabb is the one who created you, one who provides for you, one who manages all of your affairs. He is saying, oh Allah, the one who has created me. Oh Allah, the one who manages my affairs. Oh Allah, the one who provides for me. Give me time until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Despite him knowing that Allah is his Rabb, that does not protect him from disbelief. So in other words, you sitting down right now and me listening, even if I believe that Allah exists, I believe that Allah Azza wa Jal is my Lord and my Creator, I could still be a disbeliever. You guys understand how this works? So for somebody to say, oh, well brother, I know Allah exists, that's not going to help. That's not going to help. So my question is if Iblis believes that Allah exists, Iblis knows all of these prophets are Allah's prophets, right? Iblis knows Islam is the truth, and he believes in Allah in terms of him believing that Allah exists. And Allah is his Rabb. What is making him a disbeliever then? Why would Allah call him a disbeliever? Yeah.
He rejected one of the prophets.
Who?
Adam.
Okay, it wasn't that he rejected that he was a prophet. He refused to bow down to him, right? But like Iblis knows, he knows that Allah has favored Adam. He's not denying that, right? That's why in some verses he said to Allah, "Oh Allah, you've misled me. You've led me down the wrong path." My question is, what is making him a disbeliever then? Anyone? Yeah. Okay, but we disobey Allah on a daily basis. How come his disobedience is kufr, is disbelief, but my disobedience is not? You guys see the question I'm trying to ask here? What in his story is making him a disbeliever? Yeah.
He put his knowledge in front of Allah.
Okay, good. He denied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom. And when you deny one of the attributes of Allah, you deny all of them. If you believe that Allah doesn't know everything, then perhaps you're going to be just like Iblis. May Allah protect us. If you believe that Allah's rulings don't have any hikmah, you have some people, they say, you know what? This salah thing doesn't make any sense. How is that different from what Iblis said? Iblis said to Allah, oh Allah, I'm better than him. Why am I bowing down to him? Right? You have some people, they say this, that, oh, this ruling in Islam is wrong. This doesn't make any sense. Right? They're putting their mind in front of Allah's revelation. Right? So how many times does this happen? And we're not saying that you should now take this as a weapon to now say, you're a kafir, and you're a kafir, and this one's a kafir. No. But to think about yourself. Right? Takfir is very dangerous, right? There's a lot of conditions to it. But to think about yourself, what from Allah's deen are you rejecting? Right? Are you rejecting, and listen, what we mean by rejecting, right, is you're rejecting something that we have no difference of opinion in. For example, certain scholars, they have difference of opinion. How long can your pants be? If somebody says, no, your pants, there's nothing wrong with having the pants below the ankle. Okay, that's a matter of difference of opinion. But if it's something clear that Allah has made haram, for example, somebody wants to say, no, alcohol being wrong, that doesn't make any sense. Alcohol should be halal. My question is, how is that different from Iblis? Right? So I want us to think about this, right? Because it's very dangerous. And Iblis' kufr is not that he rejects Allah's existence. He knows that. But it's the fact that he's rejecting Allah's commandments. Right? So for example, if there's a Muslim who says that alcohol is halal and he's doing it, then that's going to be the same as Iblis. Something very clear. But if there's a Muslim who says, I know alcohol is wrong, I know alcohol is haram, but because of my desire, I'm trying to stop it, then you can't say that those two things are the same. Right? So this is pretty scary. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expelled Iblis, and then Allah commands Adam alayhi salam for him to live with Hawa in paradise. Right? So Allah then says, وَيَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةِ O Adam, dwell you and your wife in Jannah. وَكُلَا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا And eat whatever you want in paradise. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to basically chill in Jannah and to do whatever they wanted. Right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ But do not come close to this tree. Now what type of tree it is, some of the scholars of tafsir, they have different statements. Right? Some of the salaf, they have different statements. Is it a palm tree? Is it this tree? What type of fruit did they eat? Allahu A'lam. Was it an apple? Allah knows best. Right? But there was a tree, Allah told them, don't come near this tree. Right? فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ And if you do so, you're going to be from those who are wrongdoers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it very clear. You do whatever you want, just don't come near this tree. Right? Now Allah didn't tell them, do not eat from this tree. Allah said, do not come close to it. Right? And think about that, because when you come close to it, you see like, whoa, look at those leaves. Look at that tree. I want to touch the tree. I want to see how it is. Right? Look at the fruits of that tree. And then that's how Iblis, gets you little by little, little by little. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that how Iblis, how he warned Adam alayhi salam. Right? Allah mentions that how فَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمْ إِنَّ هَذَا عَدُوٌّ لَكَ وَلِزَوْجِكَ فَلَا يُخْرِجَنَّكُمَا مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ فَتَشْقَى In Surah Taha, Allah mentions that how Allah said to Adam, that, oh Adam, this is your enemy. Allah warned him from Iblis, that this is your enemy. He's an enemy to you and your wife, that do not obey him, do not let him take you out of paradise, so that you're going to perish when you come out of paradise. So Allah warns Iblis. So don't think that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him not to go to the tree, that Allah didn't tell him about Iblis. They knew about Iblis. But then Allah mentions that how Iblis, then he came and he tempted Adam alayhi salam and Hawa, and then they ate from the tree. Now question is, if Allah expelled Iblis from paradise, Allah expelled him away, how is it possible for Iblis to tempt Adam alayhi salam and Hawa in paradise? How is that even possible? Right? Now, some of the scholars, they mention, Shinqiti mentions, other scholars mention that how there are different possibilities. Number one is Allah made an exception to test Adam alayhi salam. There's nothing wrong with that. Perhaps Allah made an exception for this, right? Allah allowed him to do this, right? To test Adam alayhi salam. The second is that Iblis was close by, outside of paradise. He wasn't far away, but he was at a distance where they were able to hear him and hear what he's saying, right? Now, if you think about it, somebody might be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Listen, there are drug dealers in jail. There are criminals in jail, and they're locked up behind bars, but they're still pulling strings outside, right? They're still organizing their gangs and stuff like that, from the inside of the prison. So if that's possible in our times, why is it impossible for Iblis to do something similar, for them to hear what he's saying when he's outside at the same time, right? I don't think that's far-fetched. And to be honest, to reject this means that you are saying that you know how the physics of paradise works. Allahu A'lam how it works. Right? In our modern times, I'm able to speak to somebody in China or UK or whatever. I could literally call somebody right now and speak to them. Right? Perhaps there's people in other countries that are watching this right now. If that's possible in today's time, then we can't see that it's impossible for Iblis to mislead them. So then Allah mentions that how فَدَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. The Iblis, that he slowly misled them, little by little. And that's how Iblis works. Right? Iblis sometimes just doesn't come to you be like, yo, do this right now. No. He's going to make you think about it. Right? He's going to whisper in your heart. And we have to realize that Iblis, he whispers in our hearts. Allah mentions, الَّذِي وَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ, the one who whispers in the hearts of man, of human beings. So it's not something that we hear, right? I don't think anybody hears shaitan talking to them. In case you do, you need some help, right? But may Allah protect us, right? So, but these are the feelings that we get, right? These are the products and the feelings that we get to commit sins. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that how فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُرِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا. The Iblis tempted them, right, and whispered to them so that whatever was covering their private parts would become exposed. So what happened is that Adam alayhi salam and Hawa, they were wearing clothes, right? They were covering themselves with certain garments, and Allah mentions that how when they ate from the tree, بَدَتْ لَهُمَا سَوْآتُهُمَا, their private parts became exposed. وَطَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا مِنْ وَرَقِ الْجَنَّةِ, and they started to take the leaves from Jannah. So we know Jannah has leaves. It's a place of gardens, right? How they started taking the leaves and they started covering themselves, right? And then in Surah Al-A'raf, Allah mentioned that Allah calls out to them. وَنَادَاهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا, and their Lord called out to them. أَلَمْ أَنْهَكُمَا عَنْ تِلْكُمَا الشَّجَرَةِ, right? Did I not forbid you from that tree? وَأَقُلْ لَكُمَا إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمَا عَدُوٌ مُبِينٌ, and did I not tell you that shaitan is a clear enemy to both of you? Allah warned them already, right? So when they both ate from this tree, they were sorry and they felt bad about what they'd done. Now look at the difference between Iblis and Adam and Hawa. Right? Look at the difference between Adam and Iblis. Iblis disobeyed Allah and Adam alayhi salam disobeyed Allah. Did Adam say that Allah is wrong? No, he didn't. Did he try to make halal what Allah made haram? Or try to make haram what Allah made halal? Try to change the ruling of Allah? No, he didn't. But Iblis did. Right? So anyone who tries to say something that is haram is halal, and something that is halal is haram, then they are just like Iblis. Right? They're from the followers of Iblis. This is literally satanic to do that. Anyone who does this, is following the footsteps of the shaitan, as Allah commands us to stay away from. So Adam alayhi salam, and keep in mind, Iblis, when he committed that sin, he blamed Allah. He said, قَالَ رَبِّي بِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. He said, oh Allah, because you have misled me. Adam alayhi salam didn't do that, right? He, owned up to his own mistake. He owned up to his fault. And then Allah mentioned how Allah taught him certain words to ask Allah's repentance. Allah mentions, فَتَلَقَى آدَمُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ كَلِمَاتٍ فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ. That Adam alayhi salam learned certain words from Allah, and Allah then forgave him and had accepted his repentance. Now what were those statements? The scholars have some difference of opinion, right? But a lot of the scholars of tafsir, they say that it is a dua that they make in Surah Al-A'raf. That dua is, Allah mentioned, قَالَ رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. They said, oh our Lord, oh our Master, we have wronged ourselves. Right? We have done wrong. Right? وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا, and if you do not forgive us and have mercy upon us, then لَنَكُونَنَ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, we will be from those who are losers. Right? So if you look at the difference between Adam and Iblis, Adam owned up to his mistake. Iblis continued to be arrogant against Allah. Right? He continued to be arrogant against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, Allah then commanded Iblis and Adam alayhi salam to be removed from the samawat, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them on earth. Alright? Now, Allah mentions that قُلْنَا هَبِطُوا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ عَدُوٌ. Allah says, get down, both of you will be enemies to each other. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مُسْتَقَرٌ وَمَتَاعٌ إِلَى حِينٍ. And you will have, as the earth, a place to settle, and you will have some enjoyment to a certain time. That's why we're here. We're here because this is a place to stay, and we're going to be here, we're going to enjoy ourselves, we're going to have whatever Allah has given us to an appointed time, and then it's going to be over. Right? So everybody on earth, every human being will die. Right? We all will face death. And shaitan will die as well, all of the jinns, they will die, everything will die except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now there's a hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that how Adam was put into Jannah on a Friday. And he was removed from Jannah on a Friday, right? So on Yawm al-Jum'ah, on Friday, right? You know, this is something to remember, that in these days, Adam was entered and removed from paradise. And in the same hadith mentions that how Adam was created on Friday as well, right? So then Adam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings him down to earth. Now how Allah Azza wa Jal brings him down to earth, Allah knows best. But we know that when you go up past a certain point, you cannot breathe, right? You can't breathe. You need oxygen to breathe. And we are able to do this. We're able to go in orbit and go to space and all of that. How did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring down Adam alayhi salam onto earth and kept him alive? Allah knows best, right? We can't say, we can't really affirm or negate anything here. We have no idea, right? But it was in a way that Adam alayhi salam continued to live, and he was brought down to earth, and then he and his children were made to live here. Now, Adam alayhi salam, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him from the dirt of the earth. But Adam alayhi salam, when he came down to earth, it was a place that was new to him, right? So he's foreign from earth, okay? Even, despite his being created from the dirt of earth, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the soil from earth and created him, right? There's a hadith that mentions that. But when he came down, this was a total alien world to him. Totally different. This was not Jannah anymore. So all of us, if you think about it, we can't say that we have all evolved from the creatures coming here on earth. So when we talk about evolution, like I said, the only place where we have a problem with it is with the creation of Adam alayhi salam, right? But besides that, we should, generally have, we don't really have a big problem with those things. Yes, questions? Yeah. Use the mic, just so everyone can hear. Yeah. Well, just be loud, yeah. Yeah, what's your question?
They came down. I'm just trying to say that when they came down to earth, when they physically came down to earth.
Allahu alam. Allah knows how. Allah knows best, right? Any other questions, comments?
What about the dua that Iblis made to mislead mankind from the beginning to the end?
Yeah. So Iblis, there's a lot more that he said to Allah. There's a lot more that took place between in that conversation between him and Allah, right? For example, in Surah Sad, Allah mentions that how He said, قَالَ فَبِعِزَّتِكَ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. That Allah, by your izzah, by your might, Iblis knows that Allah is mighty. He says, I swear by your might, O Allah, لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I will mislead all of them. Right? And there's a verse in Surah Al-A'raf, He says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. He says, I will come to them from in front of them, from behind them, from their right sides and their left sides, and you will not find most of them thankful. Right? Most of them you will not find that they are thankful. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hijr, Allah says, that إِنَّ عِبَادِي لَيْسَ لَكَ عَلَيْهِمْ سُلْطَانٌ. That my true slaves, I believe it's in Surah Al-Hijr, Allah says that my true slaves, you have no power over them. Right? You have no power over them. Iblis has he only has power over those who follow him. Right? Those who go down his path. Those are the only ones that he has been successful to mislead. But anyone who wants guidance, right? Anyone who wants guidance can turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? And he said certain other things as well. Yeah.
Were Adam and Hawa able to see the jinns and angels?
Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam, like specifically for them. I mean, I would assume so because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Adam alayhi salam that go to those angels over there. So I would assume that he will be able to see them, right? So, most likely he was able to see them because, how else would he pass by them and give them salam, right? Allah said that those angels who are sitting over there, go and give them salam. So Adam alayhi salam could see that, right? And he also spoke to them and he taught the angels as well, right? But like some scholars mentioned, like how was Iblis able to tempt Adam and Hawa in paradise? Some scholars mentioned that how he came in the form of a snake, right? And I think like even the Christians have a very similar narrative as well, right? Allah knows best, right? We don't have a hadith that is decisive in this matter, right? Yeah.
Let's talk about evolution and talk about the creation of Adam.
Yeah.
That some people who say about evolution that we came from monkeys and these.
Yeah. I mean,
You have to clarify that.
yeah, we addressed that. We said that how when it comes to the creation of Adam alayhi salam, that's where we draw the red line. Right? That's where we draw the red line. We can't reject, because the texts are very clear. I don't understand how somebody can honestly, with a straight face, interpret these texts that clearly mention how Adam alayhi salam was created from clay and mud and dirt, and the hadiths that mention how Allah fashioned him and then Allah blew the soul into him. It's very clear. Right? Very clear. I don't understand how somebody can then interpret that. And there are attempts. You go online, there are attempts of some Muslims, they try to say that how, oh no, Adam came from, listen, Adam did not have a father. Adam did not have any parents. He didn't come from parents. How are you going to reconcile between that and evolution? But, like I said, our belief is that Adam a.s. was brought down here. And Adam a.s. up until now, humans have evolved, absolutely. Right? The Prophet ﷺ tells us in that hadith that we mentioned, he was 60 cubits high. It's like 90 feet high. Who's that high now? The Prophet ﷺ says that humans have continued to become smaller and smaller and smaller until then. So there's, that's evolution. We've evolved from that. But to say that how he came from apes and monkeys, absolutely not. Could, like for example, now someone will say, well, how do we explain the fossils that we have found? We found fossils of like humanoids, right? And they look like human beings, right? They had tools and things like that. Then what we say about those things, we say, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And Allah creates what you don't know, right? Allah creates what you don't know, right? We just don't know about them, right? And like I said, science is something that changes, right? And we can't really use that, something that's not even absolute. Okay, science is a process, right? And the conclusions we make depends on how you use that process. We can't really, deny Allah's revelation based on, on a human attempt to explain how the creation developed, right? And Allah knows best. What else? Yeah.
It's extraordinary how people, they worship Isa alayhi salam, and Isa was created with mother with no father, but yet they won't worship Adam, who was created with no mother
Absolutely.
and no father. That's the irony within, religion and things that you say, well, you worship Isa, and he was created with a mother but no father.
Yeah.
But yet Adam was more miraculous
Absolutely.
with no mother and no father, but yet you discount him as being someone worthy of worship.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're giving da'wah to a Christian, this is something that you can use as well. If you ask him that why is Jesus God, right? And he says, oh, because he didn't have a father. Well, Adam didn't have a mother and a father. Why is he not God as well, right? If they say that how like we were talking to a Christian guy. Oh, listen, you have to be respectful. You have to be nice. We were very cool. So I asked him, I'm like, listen, why do you say that Jesus is God? So he told us, right? He said that how because God brought him back from the dead, right? So anyone who comes back from the dead is God. So then, like before, he was telling us something about Lazarus. Lazarus was a man that Jesus brought back to life after he died. So I said that, listen, Lazarus came back to life, right? He's like, yeah. So I said, why is he not God as well? Right? If your reason for making Jesus God, that he came back to life from the dead, why is Lazarus not God as well? Right? And Allah mentions this in the Quran that Jesus would bring from the dead the living. He would, give them life again only by Allah's permission. I think the Islamic view of Jesus is way more simple and easy, and clear and less contradictory. Because the minute you say that Jesus died and he's God, you open up a can of worms there. Like, how do you actually, reconcile between that, right? And Allahu A'lam, like I've seen some of our Christian friends, right, that they have really, tried so many different things. But that's another time to talk about that, right? Any other questions, comments? Yeah. And we'll have this one as our last, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
How we can explain to our friends that he asked questions about how can we go to the Jannah if we have short life in this world, and every action, seeing and hearing is counted by Allah, and also since there's too many temptation and innovation.
Okay.
So-
Are those 3 questions?
No, one question actually, but how, like since we have short life in this world, and there's too much temptations, too much innovations, and how we can we can collect our good deeds to go to
Okay.
Jannah.
Very good. That's what the whole Quran is about, right? That's what the whole Quran is about. That's what the Prophet ﷺ came to explain in 23 years, right? But the short answer is sincerity, ikhlas. If someone is sincerely trying to look for the truth and sincerely trying to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will guide them. Right? Allah will guide them. Allah says that the Quran is hudan lil muttaqeen. It's a guidance for those who are muttaqeen. Muttaqeen literally means someone who's trying to protect themselves. Someone who's sincerely trying to protect themselves from Allah's punishment. If somebody is sincerely doing that, then the Quran will be a guidance for them. No doubt. Allah does not abandon anybody. And the second point is that we're not, like Allah didn't put us here except that we had the ability to go through this test. Allah says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So I think sincerity, making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance, we say it 17 times a day, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. And we're about to do so because Salatul Isha is coming in. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept, Ameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
استووا واعتدلوا وتراصوا. Make sure the lines are straight. Don't leave any gaps in between. الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. نون والقلم وما يسطرون ما أنت بنعمة ربك بمجنون وإن لك لأجرا غير ممنون وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم فستبصر ويبصرون بأيكم المفتون إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين فلا تطع المكذبين ودوا لو تدهن فيدهنون ولا تطع كل حلاف مهين هماز مشاء بنميم مناع للخير معتد أثيم عتل بعد ذلك زنيم أن كان ذا مال وبنين إذا تتلى عليه آياتنا قال أساطير الأولين سنسمه على الخرطوم إنا بلوناهم كما بلونا أصحاب الجنة إذ أقسموا ليصرمنها مصبحين ولا يستثنون فطاف عليها طائف من ربك وهم نائمون فأصبحت كالصريم فتنادوا مصبحين أن اغدوا على حرثكم إن كنتم صارمين فانطلقوا وهم يتخافتون ألا يدخلنها اليوم عليكم مسكين وغدوا على حرد قادرين فلما رأوها قالوا إنا لضالون بل نحن محرومون قال أوسطهم ألم أقل لكم لولا تسبحون قالوا سبحان ربنا إنا كنا ظالمين فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتلاومون قالوا يا ويلنا إنا كنا طاغين عسى ربنا أن يبدلنا خيرا منها إنا إلى ربنا راغبون كذلك العذاب ولعذاب الآخرة أكبر لو كانوا يعلمون. الله أكبر.
سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إن للمتقين عند ربهم جنات النعيم أفنجعل المسلمين كالمجرمين ما لكم كيف تحكمون أم لكم كتاب فيه تدرسون إن لكم فيه لما تخيرون أم لكم أيمان علينا بالغة إلى يوم القيامة إن لكم لما تحكمون سلهم أيهم بذلك زعيم أم لهم شركاء فليأتوا بشركائهم إن كانوا صادقين يوم يكشف عن ساق ويدعون إلى السجود فلا يستطيعون خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم ذلة وقد كانوا يدعون إلى السجود وهم سالمون فذرني ومن يكذب بهذا الحديث سنستدرجهم من حيث لا يعلمون وأملي لهم إن كيدي متين أم تسألهم أجرا فهم من مغرم مثقلون أم عندهم الغيب فهم يكتبون فاصبر لحكم ربك ولا تكن كصاحب الحوت إذ نادى وهو مكظوم لولا أن تداركه نعمة من ربه لنبذ بالعراء وهو مذموم فاجتباه ربه فجعله من الصالحين وإن يكاد الذين كفروا ليزلقونك بأبصارهم لما سمعوا الذكر وإن يكاد الذين كفروا ليزلقونك بأبصارهم لما سمعوا الذكر ويقولون إنه لمجنون وما هو إلا ذكر للعالمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله